Che Guevara. So you like this guy?
Yeah, this was a gift.
Oh, sorry.
I had a shirt like that color, the American flag since established in 1776. I gave it to my friend who was in Havana. He gave me this.
Ah, in exchange.
Yeah.
So are you a fan of this guy?
Kind of. I mean, not really.
Then by you wearing this T-shirt, you're trying to make a point, or it's just nice kind of hip picture?
Well, I mean, I kind of like what he did for Cuba. I mean, he also like
What he did for Cuba?
Yeah.
What did he do for Cuba? I wonder.
he fought in the revolutionary forces against Batista, established the revolutionary government, kicked out foreign investors.
For this, we got money. Batista, I mean, definitely, he wasn't the really like how should I put it? The one who would stand for true, democracy, constitutional republic, and stuff like that on the one hand. But on the other hand, I mean, this guy killed thousands of people without due process, without trial. He instituted a system that now puts to prison a lot of innocent people.
Well, there's a lot of innocent people in prison in this country.
Okay, listen. Wait. Have you ever heard of anyone in America being summarily executed without any trial, without any due process, without the right to appeal, just put in front of the wall and murdered, just like that? Never happened in this country, right? But it happened in Cuba before, and it happens now.
It happens in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Well, we're talking. Look,
I'm telling you, I know.
Look. Well, I'm talking about America. I mean, Afghanistan and Iraq is a total different issue, which we can talk separately about. But I'm talking about
American military does that in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah, just summarily kill the people. But here's the difference. We're talking about the enemy. We're talking about someone who really attacks us. It's like if you look at the Second World War, we were carpet bombing Dresden, we were carpet bombing other cities, so we dropped the atomic bomb on Japan, right? So, was it the right thing to do? No, I think it was the right thing to do because the Japanese, they started the war. They were the ones who instigated it. So we retaliated. Well, the Japanese were using our prisoners of war as their bayonet target. But that's besides the point. The point is we're talking about Che Guevara's people killing their own people, not enemy combatants, their own people. So the thing is, what really pisses me off, to be honest with you, I came from USSR originally, and whenever I see portraits of Che Guevara, what's that? Moscow. Yeah. So when I see portraits like that, it really riles me up because I know what it leads to. And if people like you wearing this T-shirt had their way, I presume that since you're wearing this T-shirt, you share Che Guevara's ideas, then we would have turned America into what happened in USSR in the past and what's still happening in Cuba today. So do you advocate what's happening in Cuba today?
What I advocate is local economy, local communities making their own decisions, breaking away from the banks, from the corporations, from the big landowners, and growing their own foods, sharing it within the community.
But you are for the banks, right?
Huh?
You are for the banks. You don't mind us having the banks, right? You don't mind the Chase being in existence.
Oh yeah, I don't like them.
So you want to eliminate all the banks?
Yeah, I would like that.
So when you eliminate all the banks, where are you going to get the money from?
The money's going to be in the local community.
And we've done 2.
Okay, I mean,
I'm saying like local. Everyone in the community puts their money together, says this is it.
Money together. You mean you work, then you give money to who precisely? I mean, what's your concept?
Locally owned, credit unions.
Who's going to precisely own them? Who's going to be the owner of those local community banks?
Okay.
I mean, we're talking about concrete people, specific people, right?
Okay.
With their aspirations, with their desires. So what's your plan?
Okay, right now, instead of a bank like Chase being owned by the shareholders on Wall Street, we would have it be the local community credit union would be owned by the people who have their accounts in the bank. Basically, it would be like, okay, this community credit union is for this geographic location or for this workplace or whatever, and the people put their accounts in the bank, and then they have a vote for the board. They have a vote, for the CEO of that bank instead of the shareholders having the vote for the board.
But isn't it the same thing in essence? And if, let's say, I am a member of this community bank and I walk in and I ask for $100,000 loan, what's going to happen? What's the chance of me getting this loan from local community bank versus a corporate bank like Chase, which essentially, when we talk about shareholders, by definition, shareholders are simple people like you. I mean, if I have shares of Chase Bank, I'm co-owner of Chase Bank, no? And
yeah, but when you have an account in Chase Bank uses that money according to the shareholders' will, not according to the account holder's will.
But it's the same thing. So essentially, when you talk about community, it's going to be the same thing. But listen, I'm talking about Che Guevara now. So my point is, when you use Afghanistan, when you use Iraq as an example, it's not really the same thing because Che Guevara was killing his own people.
I don't believe in national boundaries like that, though.
You don't believe in countries have any boundaries whatsoever?
I prefer them that they didn't.
I'm sorry?
I would prefer that they didn't.
Okay, so let's assume we open the border with Mexico. What's going to happen to the United States?
I don't know.
Do you like what's happening in Mexico?
No, not so much. No.
Not so much. So imagine if you open the border and all the Mexicans will flood the United States. The only thing that America will become like Mexico, the system that they don't like.
Okay, but right now I'm not saying that killing a Mexican is any better than killing an American. That's what you're saying.
No.
When you use the phrase killing his own people,
yeah.
You're saying that it's worse to kill one's own people than to kill someone else's people.
Of course it is, because if it's an enemy, I mean, if you point a gun at me and I kill you, isn't there a difference between me killing you, pointing a gun at me, versus innocent citizens whose only guilt was, well, they happen to disagree with Che Guevara.
But that's the thing. In Afghanistan and in Iraq, we are talking about innocent
We are
civilians
talking about
killed.
Cubans killing Cubans, Russians killing Russians. That's the difference.
We are talking about humans killing humans.
So you draw no distinction between, let's say, a Nazi or Japanese in the Second World War pointing a gun at you and killing them versus Che Guevara or Stalin killing their own citizens for no reason whatsoever. You don't see any distinction?
They all have their own reasons, and a lot of those reasons are wrong reasons.
So you're against, okay, so let me understand you correctly. You're against killing, period, right?
I do not like killing, no.
Okay, so let's say you have someone, sitting over there, coming up to you, trying to murder you, coming at you with a gun or a knife. What are you going to do?
I would like to say that I would be nonviolent and peacefully.
So
I do not know how I would act in a situation I have never faced.
But you a priori is saying that you're against killing people, period. None, never, ever. So if, let's say, if we are attacked again, and we will be if we take no measures, if we don't kill the enemy, you would be against killing them, right?
You're the one who's saying things like kill the enemy.
Because this is the guy who did precisely that. Che Guevara killed thousands and thousands of innocent people.
You're saying you're an extreme right-wing American and proud of it. Right-wing Americans killed thousands and thousands.
Really? Give me one example. Specific.
In Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Vietnam.
First of all, if we talk about the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, I presume you're for the Democrats, right?
No.
You're against Democrats or against Republicans?
Yes.
You're against Congress, you're against the Constitution. We're here in Philadelphia. That's where, the birthplace of America, essentially. So you're against all the principles that make us an exceptional country. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm telling you that I'm against the Republicans and I'm against the Democrats.
The reason I'm bringing up is because they were the ones who actually voted with Bush to go to war against Iraq.
I know.
So Kerry did that.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton did. Most of the Democrats did that.
Yeah. But
so
the
we're
right-wing extreme Americans.
Well, look, we are talking about the Congress. All right.
Hello.
Yes. How are you?
My name's Bill. What's your name?
Vladimir.
Vladimir.
Vladimir. Yes.
Oh, wonderful name.